Hello everybody, this is Blaster Toad here. I was just about to go ask a question about a very complicated problem I am having in my own project when I stumbled across this question and figured I'd answer it. So we have to do Swiss Cheese 9797 asking, how do I get a reference how do I get a reference to points in space in set increments between 2 points? Here's a diagram showing what I mean. So between point A and point B spawns an object where the arrows are every 100 units. Okay, and depending on length. So let's go through this. This is actually a not too difficult array setup with just additive floats, if you can understand what you're looking at. Oh, this here mess is not what we're looking at. That is my complex problem that I need help with. So we're going to come open this other project. There we go. Back in my gun soccer project, just because I've got a playable character here. And this is the state of the game right now. This is it. Okay. So we are just going to go and we're going to make a new folder. We are going to do this as, name this array spawn tut. There we go. And in array spawn tut, we want to get a copy of our player. Perfect. And we need a new actor. And we are going to call this ball. Actually, we already have a ball, don't we? So we're actually going to get rid of all that I just did, because we already have a player. Player 2 is absolute garbage, so we're going to get rid of him. We got a player, and we've got a ball. So somewhere. There we go, ball. So let's get this set up. So we are going to have a ball spawn every 2 meters. Why not? Okay. So go into our event graph. And we've got all of our doing stuff. Oops, I actually needed that because that is my players looking around, so I need that back. And we are going to do on the, let's go on the G key. So on G, we are going to do our array. And let's get started. So we are going to need to draw a line trace. That's what we'll do. We'll draw a line trace. And that way we'll get our 2 endpoints. So we'll start from our camera. So we will get location world. So get world location. When we press R button, we are going to do a line trace by channel, starting at our camera and continuing forward. So from our camera, we are going to get forward vector. And how many units should it continue forward? We'll just multiply that by a float. And you can put in whatever you feel should be your range there. I am going to say 5,000. Why not? Okay. And our camera is going to be our start point. So we are going to copy that and move it over here as well, since we'll be using it here shortly. Okay. And we want to right-click our hit and split this pin. Now, with all this done, we want to do a bit of math. Okay, so we want to do a new variable. We are going to do this meters between spawns. And that will be a float. So meters between spawns. So how many meters or how many 100 units we want between each spawn. And we are going to do some math. So we are going to get our world location of our camera. We are then going to get our hit location. We are going to minus those from each other, minus a vector from a vector. And in this case, it actually doesn't matter which one we put in first. So that can be in whichever arrangement you want it in. I'm going to try to keep these straight and clean. But right now, my mind is not in the straight and clean mindset. So I might forgo that in a moment here. But anyway, after we minus these, we are going to pull off. And we are going to get the length. Vector length. And there we go. Okay. Now vector length is going to be divided by a float. Or sorry, the float being divided by a float. And this will be 100. So this converts our length in centimeters to our length in meters. And then that new value is going to then be again divided by our other unit. Or we could also divide this by this times 100. Let's actually do that then. It's going to give us the same result in the end, but for some reason I'm feeling like doing it this way at this particular moment in time. So we are going to minus our camera's location because that is our start. From our hit location, we are going to get the length, so that's our point A and B, and the distance between them. And we're going to divide that by however many meters there are in that. And here we can do, okay, do we want it every 2 meters? Do we want it every 6 meters? Whatever. Straighten connection. And then we are going to do a truncate. And that's going to give us an integer. Okay, so we're doing all of our math with precision and decimal places as floats, but then we want that to become an integer. Okay, and the reason we want that to become an integer is that we are going to be doing this a set number of times. We cannot do this 101.7 times, but we can do this 101 times. And now we want to do a, we'll actually pull off here for each. No. Oh, come on, what was it called again? A for loop. There we go. And we're going to break that line. So what this does is we set our first index value to 0, and we set our last index value to our number of points along our line, which is what this math is figuring out. And that way, for every point along the line, we are going to do something. Straighten that off. Connect those together. It will actually straighten that there. Yeah, we'll leave that like that. That looks nice. And now we are going to start spawning our points in the world. So here for our loop body, we are going to spawn actor from class. We are going to then spawn our ball. So just select the actor you're doing. And then the transform is where things get fun. So we're going to split our structure pin. Our rotation is going to be the same as our camera. We're going to come back, get our camera. Actually, you can pull it from here, get our camera. And we will get transform. So get world transform. We will split those pins, and we are also going to pull off and get forward vector again. Okay. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit more space for this in just a moment. We're going to pull this over here. We are going to pull this over here because we're going to need a bit of space. So, our scale goes right in. We're going to keep our scale. Actually, we are going to ignore scale. Never mind that, because we want our ball to always be at one scale, no matter what our other thing is. Our rotation, we're going to plug right in. What we're going to change, or have a modification to here, as we just straighten some things up here, is we are going to multiply our vector by a float. Okay. That float is going to be our meters per spawn times 100 to get actually that number of meters. Okay. Hopefully this is making sense so far. And then we are going to add these two items together. Add our vector plus a vector. And there we go. That is that. Now, here is where we need to figure out how we're going to save the last location. So this here will get our first point fine. But then it's just going to keep adding the same thing to the first point. So let's replace camera with a transform. That's what we're going to do. So we are going to do last transform. Okay, and this is going to be a variable type transform. And we are going to set this. We're actually going to set this over here first. We're going to copy those. So camera, we combine structure pins. Camera transform. So our last transform, once we hit this, is going to be set as our camera, because it's going to be our initial start point. Just make everything nice and pretty and clean. And okay, so we're setting our last transform. We are doing our math to get the number of points. And then this here, we're actually going to clean up a bit. So we're going to get our last transform, and we are going to right click and split structure pins. Okay, scale we aren't touching. Rotation we are plugging right in. Rotation we are also going to pull off, and from rotation we are going to get forward vector. Okay, we can get that right there. And then that means we get rid of all this, and we move this here down. And this here down. And plug these in like so. So our last transform, we are now getting the forward vector directly from it. We are multiplying that by our meters per step. Actually, that would probably be a better name for this variable. It was meters per step. But meters between spawn works as well. And then we are going to add our ball actor. Okay. And when we're done, we are just going to print a string to show that we're done. One more thing is that every time we add one of these, we're going to have to update our last transform. So we're going to set last transform, and then off this value, we are going to get world transform. That is actually an actor, so we are just going to get transform. Come on, get actor transform. Right there. So now we can straighten that off. We can straighten that off. There we go. So once we set our new transform, we spawn our actor there. We save this new transform so that the next one in line adds from there. And this should give us our balls being spawned across a point. Or across a line. Let's head out. I'm going to save that, and that was on the key press of G. Okay. And we're just going to give ourselves a couple references to hit. So we are going to give ourselves a reference there. Control C, Control V. And then we're going to give ourselves a reference like way over there. So that we're going to get more balls. Okay. So where's our closer reference? Right here. Come on. Alright, because it's not click, it is G. Ooh. There might be an issue. My balls are currently set to simulate physics. So we are just going to go quickly simulate physics, turn off, enable gravity, turn off. Yep, that should do it. Compile, save. Okay. Let's give that a try. Now if we hit that, well, we have one being spawned at our camera. But why is it not being spawned along our path? Let's go take a look at our blueprints again. We should be getting the length here. Oh. This is an issue that I seem to forget to do all the time. So we have how many times should we be multiplying this? Well, that has to be better than a 0 point. So we're going to have this as 1 meter. So we just have to set our variable there. And then let's see how this works for us now. So get that lined up and G. There we go. And if we come over and try to line that one up and we hit G. Okay, it's getting stuck on something else apparently. G. Huh. See, why those are only going for a few balls, I'm not sure. But that is the way to do it. Looks like there's some debugging left to do. But that's that. Then we should be able to change this to say something like every 5 meters. compile, save, and we can play again, and then we should get fewer balls on the screen. There we go. Or say we look over here and we go boom. There we go. Again, not quite sure why it's stopping right there. But hey, that is our setup. So let's take a look at it again. So we get a... Well, basically we're just using a line trace here to get our A and B points. Okay. The other thing we could do here is hit actor and get location, which actually might be the better way to do this. We'll try that just for the sake of debugging this. Okay, but we get our A and B points, we minus them from each other, find the length of that difference, and then we divide that by our units along that line. We then truncate that to be a full number, and then do a for loop. Okay, which will do a recurring action for every number, or for the amount of numbers we plug into it. Okay? Before going through the loop, we set up a reference transform, or a reference state of where it should spawn. We then get that reference state. We get its forward vector, so that we can multiply it by a float, giving us a point along that forward-facing direction. We add that to its current location to actually move it forward based on its current location and rotation. We spawn our new actor there, and then we save the transform of the new actor so that on the next loop through we are adding past there. Okay, and then when everything's done, we just say hello. Because why not? We have to have a print string in there somewhere, right? Okay, so let's go this, and we'll do G. Why it's firing past, I'm not quite sure. I might be, not perfectly hitting it in my viewport. There we go. That one's firing off like that. Firing off like that. If we go straight up. Yeah. Might want to set your 2 points differently, because for some reason... See, there we go. Like, that line trace worked beautifully. Access none, trying to read the function. Hit actor. So, yeah, that... We might want to do a is valid here. So just is valid to make sure that it actually hits something. And we'll just plug that in right there. So, did it hit something? If so, continue working. And we'll show our debug lines there. And try this again. So am I actually hitting anything there? Apparently I am. And am I actually hitting anything here? Apparently not, apparently not, apparently not. Come on. Hit the damn, there we go. Hit the damn thing. And then if you actually hit it, it spawns them along that line quite nicely. So there you are, the setup for spawning multiple points along a line at a set number of units. Hope that helps you out with your project. Please, if the video's been helpful, leave a like, and maybe consider subscribing to the channel as we work through a couple tutorial series. So thanks again everybody for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.